So I don't know, you know, some of these other YouTube channels I've seen, you know, who, you know, they're invited out by Sony to meet in their headquarters and stuff. Like, I'm not saying that they're, you know, necessarily paid by Sony to give good reviews, although I don't know, who knows, but I just don't know if they're looking at the same, you know, TVs as I am, because, man, yeah, I'm just not seeing it. And you know, there was even one YouTuber, which I won't necessarily, I don't have to, you know, call out names, but, you know, there was one guy who was like, you know, the A95L is a dim TV compared to the Bravia 8 Mark II. And, you know, and he was saying, well, you know, the ratings, because a lot of this controversy, you know, kind of started up with the ratings score for the Bravia 8 Mark II. And so, yeah, where ratings basically gave the Bravia 8 Mark II a worse score than the A95L. And they said the A95L is a better TV and that you should just buy that. And so, yeah, so anyway, so a certain YouTuber was saying, well, you know, it's they only were testing SDR in professional mode, and, you know, that's why they said SDR was brighter or whatever on the A95L. But yeah, I've been testing different modes. I tested Vivid. In fact, I'll show you that in just a second. But hey guys, holy cow. So in this video, I'm going to be looking at the differences between the A95L up here on the top, and then this is the Sony Bravia 8 Mark II. And then this TV is just kind of here for fun. This is a 1991 Sony CRT Trinitron, just an 8-inch. And yeah, this TV, the Sony Bravia 8 Mark II, appears to be bigger than the A95L, but it's just because it's closer. This is just kind of where I had to put it, because yeah, limited space. And so this one's staying on top of the piano, and this one's in front of the piano. So yeah, the Bravia 8 Mark II appears to be bigger, but it's really the same size as the A95L. But boy, holy cow, let me tell you something. So Sony is really trying to sell this TV, and I've heard other YouTubers trying to sell the Sony Bravia 8 Mark II as well. You know, and Sony, they flew people out to their headquarters and had them, you know, look at these TVs side by side with a reference monitor, and I'm sure you've seen videos like that before, or at least I'm sure a lot of you have seen those videos. But yeah, I don't know what settings they had on the A80L, or sorry, the A95L, which again is this top TV. But yeah, in person, man, these TVs look identical pretty much, and pretty much all the scenes that I've thrown at it so far in SDR. We'll be testing HDR here in a little bit later on, but yeah, I was watching a movie earlier, and it looked identical on both of them in SDR. And yeah, I don't want to really show the movie though, because yeah, I don't want to be copyright claimed, but figured playing Mario Kart here should be totally fine. Yeah, and I just turned off the lights, but just so you can see, on both TVs I've turned off the ambient light sensors. I actually think that's a pretty cool feature. However, just to be fair, because yeah, these TVs they have different capabilities. Holy cow, let me get into that in just a second. But yeah, just to be fair, I turned off the ambient light sensor on both of them. But yeah, anyway, so let's just start off with some of the things that are lacking on the Sony Bravia 8 Mark II. So first off, it doesn't come with the nice remote, and I didn't really know how big of a deal this would be, but let me turn on this light here. So this is the A95L remote, and this is the Bravia 8 remote, and this is it's just kind of like plastic, and like it's just really, you know, just a regular remote, you know, not really have any necessarily complaints about it compared to other Sony remotes that I've tested, even like old CRT remotes. Although I do wish it had numbers on it, but that's a separate issue. But yeah, but just the small amount of time that I've spent on this A95L remote, where it has like the brushed metal finish on the top, the back plate feels higher quality. Also, not that it's a huge deal, but it just seems like Sony has tried to cut a lot of costs with the Bravia Mark II. So like, I really don't mind recycled plastic. I think it's good to, you know, protect the world or whatever, but yeah, there are like specs in here where you can see it's recycled plastic, which is fine again. But like even here on the back part, which is plastic, it's not recycled. It's just, you know, just new plastic. So, you know, just little things like that is just kind of, you know, screams high quality. And then plus like the remote lights up, which is really nice in the dark. So yeah, it's just been a much better experience. Yeah, just using this remote. Okay, there we go. Switch the game. Let's get some different content. Oh wow. Okay, yeah, never mind. I was gonna say, wow, it shows Samus on both systems, but no, it's just one system. I just have a HDMI duplicator going into both TVs, and then this little CRT is composite. So yeah, that's why it's Samus on both. Anyway, but yeah, so the remote is definitely nicer on the the A95L. I have an A80J back here. That's the TV that's off. Yeah, I didn't want to spend the time to get that one hooked up as well, but I could have. But anyway, you can see my previous video I did where I compared the Bravia 8 Mark II against the A80J, and yeah, Bravia 8 Mark II was generally nicer, which was expected. But yeah, anyway, check out that video for more on that. But yeah, between these two, like looking at this now at Smash Brothers here, like they really do look pretty much identical. And I made sure that I reset game mode on both of them. And so, yeah. Yeah, picture quality, it's pretty much identical between the two of them. But yeah, another place where like Sony just kind of, I don't know, cheaped out on quality was, so the Bravia Cam comes with the A95L, whereas it doesn't come with the it's not included with the Bravia 8 Mark II. And so I was thinking, well, you know, sure, it's a $200 accessory. You know, if you really want it, you have to buy it. But actually, check out this short that I made here. But it was very hard to get off, but I was able to get off the cover on the back of the Bravia 8 Mark II where the Bravia Cam should have been plugged into, where you should be able to plug one into. Yeah, it was glued on there very tightly, but I was able to get off finally with two butter knives. And yeah, kind of scratched up the TV a little bit, but got off eventually. The back of the TV, just that little thing. I didn't scratch up the screen or anything. But yeah, anyway, I finally got it off, and yeah, Sony definitely did not intend for that to be taken off because, yeah, there was nothing underneath it. There were no connections for the Bravia Cam. And so even if you bought the Bravia Cam, you know, as an extra, you can't use it on the Bravia 8 Mark II. Whereas it comes included on the A89L. So all this would kind of be understandable, you know, if the Bravia 8 Mark II didn't cost as much as the A80L, you know, but where the Bravia 8 Mark II costs like significantly more than the A80L, I don't know, I just don't think that it's justified, like the price. Like it costs anywhere from $1,500 to $1,200 more depending on the deals you can get. And yeah, in my opinion, they look identical. And maybe it's because since I bought the A80L just not A80L, A95L. I hope I've been saying that right, but I think you know what I'm talking about. Maybe since I bought the A95L recently, it might have the new QD-OLED panel in it, and so maybe that's why it's performing so much better than the original ones. But yeah, I mean, it looks identical to the Bravia 8 Mark II. Response time looks identical, And yeah. You know, one thing I wonder about too is so where they say the Bravia 8 Mark II has a QD-OLED panel that's like supposedly third or fourth generation. Again, some people say third, some people say fourth. But what I wonder if all that amounts to is the energy cost saving. So I saved these little stickers. So this is the Bravia 8 Mark II sticker. So it says it's $48. That's your annual cost supposedly for the year of using this TV. Whereas over here for the A95L, it's $59. So maybe that's the difference. The newer panel, it isn't necessarily brighter or whatever, it's just more efficient. So it's, you know, a lot of these companies are huge on protecting the environment and stuff like that. And again, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but you know, where you saw the Sony Bravia 8 Mark II also coming with the, you know, the remote that has the speckles in there with the recycled plastic. It definitely, I don't know, just seems like they're focused on the environment, which again isn't a bad thing, but I'm just saying they're focused, maybe they're focused on the environment, but then they're also charging, you know, $1,000, you know, $1,000+ more for their new TV. So I don't know, just kind of seems a little shady, I guess, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I guess they have to earn money, and I'm glad that they're still in business, but it just, yeah, I just feel like you're getting a lot less for more. You're paying more and you're getting less. And it's cool because, like I said, I like the ambient light settings where I can like adjust the color. And so the Bravia Cam is actually a better sensor than the one that's built into these TVs. And so as you can see here, I can actually turn on these Bravia Cam settings, like adjust, like where it will adjust, like here, auto adjust according to viewing position, auto adjust according to ambient light. I actually don't know if this is with the Bravia Cam or not. But anyway, it's just like, you know, you have the nicer camera, and so you can have more, I don't know, features, I guess, you know. And so yeah, there's just a lot of stuff like that where it's just like you can tell that they have cut corners on the Bravia 8 Mark II, which yeah, is really unfortunate. Now another area that I've noticed that is significantly different between the two, which is actually really surprising, is the sound quality. So, you know, one of the things that Sony was marketing was that the sound quality was, you know, basically the same as the A95L and the Bravia 8 Mark II. However, let me just show you this. So I'm going to turn this up a little bit. Turn up to like 15. And then I'm going to turn up on the Bravia 8 Mark II to 15. So, okay, so they're on the same sound system, or same sound volume. So I'm just going to let you listen to the difference. So right now, this is the Bravia 8 Mark II. Okay, that's the A95L. So I don't know how well that's coming through on the camera, but I'll just kind of try to explain it to you. Basically, the A95L speakers, they just sound like significantly better. and not to say that the Bravia 8 II doesn't sound good, because if you saw my previous video, so compared to the A80J, it does sound significantly better than the A80J, but yeah, but now comparing it to the A80L, like it's just I need to stop saying the A80L, the A95L. It's just the A95L speakers are just on a whole other level, which if you saw my unboxing video, which I'll also leave a link above here for that, there is a center speaker in that's just like uses just regular speaker wires, so you can use any sound system with it. And that is a really nice feature that is on the A95L, but not on the Sony Bravia 8 Mark II. And so Like, look at that, I just switched over to that. It just sounds so much better. So anyway, it kind of makes me think of, you know, Sony was trying to cut costs and they took away that feature from the Bravia 8 Mark II, where you can have the dedicated speaker, you know, lines come in from any sound system, not just a Sony sound system. And yeah, so like I have a Denon, so I can use the A95L as a center speaker. And I kind of think that, you know, they wanted to cut costs, so okay, they took out, you know, the few bucks or whatever that would cost to, you know, put in that circuitry. Maybe it's more than a few bucks, I don't know, but you know, they're producing millions of TVs and that can add up, obviously. Yeah, they took that out, but I also kind of wonder if it was not only a cost saving feature, but also maybe they took out that circuitry because they knew that the Bravia 8 Mark II didn't sound as good as the A95L, and so it's like they didn't want to really have that be on display with someone's nice sound system. Yeah, let's kind of listen to this. So I'll just kind of go between the two as we listen to this song. I'm going to turn it up a tiny bit. Yeah, the A95L speakers just sound so much richer. It's like you literally are getting a downgrade going to the Bravia 8 Mark II. So I don't know, you know, some of these other YouTube channels I've seen, you know, who, you know, they're invited out by Sony to meet in their headquarters and stuff. Like, I'm not saying that they're, you know, necessarily paid by Sony to give good reviews, although I don't know, who knows, but I just don't know if they're looking at the same, you know, TVs as I am, because, man, yeah, I'm just not seeing it. And you know, there was even one YouTuber, which I won't necessarily, I don't have to, you know, call out names, but, you know, there was one guy, he was like, you know, the A95L is a dim TV compared to the Bravia 8 Mark II. And you know, and he was saying, well, you know, the ratings, because a lot of this controversy, you know, kind of started up with the ratings score for the Bravia 8 Mark II. I'm sure you've heard about that. And so, yeah, where ratings basically gave the Bravia 8 Mark II a worse score than the A95L. And they said the A95L is a better TV and that you should just buy that. And so, yeah, so anyway, so a certain YouTuber was saying, well, you know, they only were testing SDR in professional mode, and, you know, that's why they said SDR was brighter or whatever on the A95L. But yeah, I've been testing different modes. I tested Vivid. In fact, I'll show you that in just a second, but tested Vivid. Actually, I'll show it to you right now. Might as well. Because even though this is a video game, we can still put it into Vivid mode. Yeah, so let's just go in here. I like looking at this selection page because, yeah, they just kind of stay there and don't move all over the place. So it's easy to see. But, yeah, so anyway, so if I take, for example, let's actually do the Bravia 8 Mark II first. So let's take it out of game mode. Let's do video images, and then let's go up to Vivid. Okay, so you can see it got significantly brighter there. And now, but now let's do the same thing for the A95L. So let's go to video images, and then go up to Vivid. Whoops, not that one. There we go, Vivid. Okay, and so there are both TVs in Vivid mode, and this is actually kind of weird. So yeah, again, this is SDR Vivid mode, and actually, to tell you the truth, the A95L looks brighter. Yeah, it looks brighter in Vivid mode compared to the A80J. And yeah, I haven't changed any settings. I literally just barely set up the A95L, and yeah, so I haven't changed anything, but I've messed around with the Bravia Mark II a bit more, so I'll just make sure that all these are reset. But yeah, the A95L though, it's not night and day, but I don't know. It's like looking at Bowser's face, for example, like it does look a little bit brighter. But for all intents and purposes, I'll just say they're basically the same thing, even in vivid mode. And yeah, we can go through these other modes as well. It's like here's standard. Whoops, that is not what I want to do. Turn that off. I thought that was on the same thing, but it's not. Okay, there we go. So yeah, standard looks identical. Let's go down to cinema on both of them. Cinema, again, looks identical. This is not, like, comparing to the A80J in my other video, I could tell a difference between these. But yeah, between these two TVs, I'm just not seeing a difference. So here's the professional, which supposedly is what Rtings was using for their test. But yeah, even this one, and you know, obviously Rtings has, you know, their equipment so they can measure it better, but just for me, from, you know, the naked eye, the two TVs look identical. In a blind test, I don't think I could tell a difference between the two. So again, it just kind of comes down to the question of, you know, if both of these look exactly the same, then why why would you opt for the Sony Bravia Mark II? Especially because I was actually able to get the A95L with a 4-year warranty, and I don't know if that's on top of the 1-year manufacturer warranty or not, or if that's like one of the 4 years. But either way, the Bravia Mark II only comes with a 1-year warranty, you know, manufacturer's warranty, and that's because of the seller I bought the A95L through. So I'll leave affiliate links to all this stuff in the description. Yeah, there are also good deals on the Bravia Mark II if you like, you know, that you want that TV for whatever reason. Like for example, there's an Amazon deal where they'll give you a free TV if you buy this TV. Maybe it's because there's not very many people buying it, I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, there are deals if you know where to look, and I'll leave links to that stuff in the description. Okay, and then here's an upscaling comparison. So this is a DVD of Little House on the Prairie. And yeah, so looking at the text here on both TVs, they look pretty similar. And yeah, same thing with like around her hair and stuff. Like they both seem to be upscaling about the same. And so it's not like the A80J, or in my other comparison where the Bravia Mark II had a significant advantage for the upscaling, where the A80J, I mean, it was good, but you could definitely tell that it was jaggy around some of the edges that it was trying to upscale. But yeah, not the case with these two TVs. Both of these look identical, and again, they're both in standard mode. Okay, so here is a movie in HDR now, and I'm just doing the selection thing on this Blu-ray because yeah, found that it changes enough that YouTube doesn't copyright claim my videos. So anyway, but yeah, again though, looking at these two TVs, so they're both in Dolby Vision. What is this? Dolby Vision Vivid right now. Let's go ahead and go down to dark, since that's supposedly the true Dolby Vision and the most accurate. We're in a dark room too, so might as well, right? But yeah, I mean, these two TVs, they look pretty much identical. So yeah, again, if you were gonna ask me, you know, which is which in a blind setting, I don't think I could tell the difference. So, you know, Rtings, this is one of the areas where supposedly the Bravia Mark II is slightly better than the A95L. But boy, I'm just not seeing it. So I don't know. My kind of running theory is that because Sony, they do not want to confirm or deny that the A95L has 3rd gen or 4th gen, however you count the generations of QD-OLED. They don't want to confirm that the A95Ls that are being produced today have the newer generation of QD-OLED technology in them. But I kind of suspect they do, because again, I bought this A95L actually after I bought the Bravia Mark II, and boy, they look identical, really. You know, like I said before, in SDR they looked identical, and now in HDR they look identical. There's some scenes where I like look at them, and it might just be because the Bravia Mark II is closer. It's like, okay, there's like a slight brightness difference between the two of them, but I don't know. They look pretty identical to me. So it's kind of like in SDR where I thought that maybe the A95L looked a little brighter than the Bravia Mark II, but I don't know. That might have just been also like bias on my part, where I know that that's what Rtings said. But I would say that again, for all intents and purposes, that these TVs are basically identical, even in HDR mode. So we can kind of look at these other settings. So again, so that's Dolby Vision Dark, here's Dolby Vision Bright, and here's Vivid. I actually think Vivid looks really nice on both of these TVs. I know it may not be the most accurate, and there's probably like some sort of detail somewhere that's being left out. But yeah, it actually looks really nice. But again, there isn't one TV that like is a clear winner over the other. Like, I've been even like looking at this text where it says The Lion King, and like I would expect that to pop more on the Bravia Mark II, but like it really doesn't. They look identical. Like, I'm sorry. But I think that my conclusion after this is that I'm going to be returning the Bravia Mark II, because I just don't see the point of it. Yeah, the 2023 A95L is the same in picture quality from what I can tell, and the place where, and then there's even, you know, places where it actually is better. Like I said, it comes with the Bravia Cam. Not only does it come with the Bravia Cam and the extra sensors that allows you to do with, you know, light adjustment, color adjustments, and then even like the gesture stuff, which I haven't really messed around with, but you know, that stuff is interesting, I guess. But anyway, so it comes with the Bravia Cam included, which is a $200 accessory. But not only that, even if you wanted the Bravia Cam for the Bravia 8 Mark II, you can't even plug it into it, because they have literally removed the port from the back. And since I guess Sony, they wanted to save money, so they're still using the same plastic case on the back as the A95L. Again, check out that short that I linked before. But it even says the same 5 volts, like universal polarity, as the A95L. But yeah, there is nothing there to connect the Bravia Cam. So again, maybe that's not important to you, but it is, you know, you're not getting the Bravia Cam, and even if you wanted one and you wanted to pay the extra $200, you can't even plug it into your Bravia 8 Mark II. So again, a huge, I don't know, it's just not as good, you know. Maybe it's not huge, but it's just not as good. And then one thing that I do think is a huge difference, which makes a big difference to me, is that and again, I'm just kind of summarizing here what I've been seeing, but the A95L has the center speaker in, which is just regular speaker wire, and the Sony Bravia 8 Mark II does not have that. It just has the Sony like S center speaker, whatever, 3.5 millimeter jack in that you can use. So you can use the Bravia 8 Mark II as a center speaker, but only if you have a Sony soundbar or a Sony AV receiver. Whereas the A95L will work with any AV receiver. So like I have a pretty nice Denon receiver, and I can use the A95L with that. And then another downgrade, which is a major downgrade, I guess depending on your setup, but is the sound quality. So the A95L just has a much richer sound to it. So like I'm going to switch between the two here. So here's now the Bravia 8 Mark II. It just sounds like, you know, tiny speakers are inside of this TV. Whereas now, go back to the other one. It's just so much fuller. Yeah, I don't know. And, you know, you think the sound quality in theory should be the same because they're supposedly both, you know, using Sony's technology where they vibrate the screen to create sound waves. But yeah, for whatever reason, the sound is not as good on the Bravia 8 Mark II. So anyway, long story short, I am going to be returning the Bravia 8 Mark II because, yeah, this is just not acceptable. At least not, you know, thousands of dollars acceptable. So, you know, even looking at this, like the white text on the black background, like it looks awesome on both TVs, you know. So picture quality is basically the same again, but it's just the other things, you know, price, sound quality, accessories that are included. Oh yeah, that's right. The remote is also. I am really liking this remote that like it's not even glow in the dark. Like it actually lights up. It is so nice because before on previous OLEDs, I would always have to try to like wait for a bright scene to be able to see what I'm doing. Like right now, even where I want to like control the Bravia Mark II and switch over to the A95L sound, like I have to wait till the lightning flashes so I can actually see the remote. Whereas the A95L remote, it's like no problem. So anyway, it's just small stuff like that, you know. But yeah, but I mean, besides that, like they are both, you know, really nice TVs, and so I just don't know why people would choose the Bravia 8 Mark II over the A95L. Like I wasn't sure if that would have been my takeaway from doing these tests, but yeah, it definitely has been. And so, you know, again, those other YouTubers where they're saying, well, you know, the A95L is a dim TV compared to the Bravia 8 Mark II. I am telling you right now, both of these are in, you know, default settings. You know, whatever Sony thinks is the best way to show them off, I guess, or give the user the best experience. And they look identical, really. They might as well both be Bravia 8 Mark IIs or both be A95Ls. So anyway, again, I don't know what the other YouTubers are talking about, or maybe they're basing off of, you know, the older generation of QD-OLED panels. If maybe that has made a difference in the A95Ls you can buy nowadays. Again, that's just speculation on my part. I really don't know. All I know is what I can see with my two eyes, and yeah, these two TVs look identical. There you go. I just changed some of my camera settings so the colors come up a little bit better on here. But yeah, what was I going to say? Oh, right. So yeah, so on top of that, you know, the A95L, when it came out, you know, it was basically Sony's flagship model of TV. Whereas now with the Bravia 8 Mark II, it's like, it's the Bravia 8, but it's the second version. It's like they're marketing it as the follow-up to the Bravia 8, even though, like, in their, I don't know, announcements and stuff, they say that it's really the successor to the A95L. But I feel like they're just saying that to people who really like the A95L, so then they go out and buy the Bravia 8 Mark II. Because, yeah, I don't know. This doesn't feel like a successor to the A95L. So, long story short, it just kind of feels like Sony nowadays is focusing on the Bravia 9, which is fine. You know, they have said, you know, like their official stance is that the 2024 Bravia 9, the mini LED TV, is their flagship, and that's carrying over to this year. And then supposedly they might have RGB, LGB, or RGB LCD or LED, whatever it's called, TVs next year, which I guess we'll have to see how good those are. But yeah, long story short is that it just doesn't seem like they're focusing on OLED as being their flagship models anymore. I feel like they just they released the Bravia 8 Mark II mostly to just kind of continue OLED for people that really like that technology, and yeah, just to sell more TVs basically. I just feel like it's a cash grab because they're cutting corners, as you know, as I've shown in several different areas, and the picture quality is identical to the A95L. At least the A95L I have. Again, panels can also differ, you know. But I guess I got good panel lottery on both of these two TVs because they look identical to each other. So again, I just don't think Sony is focusing on OLEDs right now. They're definitely going in the LED, LCD direction, which is fine. You know, they can do whatever they want. But yeah, as far as OLEDs, I would definitely recommend going with the A95L, even though it's a few years old, because first off, it costs a lot less, you know, $1,500 to $1,200 less. And besides that, you know, there's a lot of features that it has that the Bravia 8 Mark II just doesn't have. And I guess that's kind of, you know, like I showed in the unboxing video I did of the A95L, but you know, they actually market it as like their Master Series OLED TV on the A95L. And so, whereas on the Bravia 8 Mark II, it doesn't say Master Series anywhere on there. And there was even an interview I saw that, what was his name? Anyway, another YouTuber, he did have a Sony, Stop the FOMO. So he did an interview with a Sony representative, and he asked something along the lines of, you know, if Sony was moving away from OLED, or, you know, if Bravia 8 Mark II wasn't really, you know, a step up or whatever. And then basically the employee said that he couldn't say a lot, but he actually said, you know, read between the lines, you know, I hope you can read between the lines. Basically, what I took away from that was, yeah, the Bravia 8 Mark II is not a flagship. It's just another line in their TV lineup, and they really are focused on the Bravia 9. So anyway, long story short, I definitely recommend the A95L. I will leave affiliate links in the description if you're interested. Especially, I bought mine from a seller's like Beach Camera Same Day Shipping, which sounds like a sketchy name, but yeah, they actually are a legit seller and they've been around since like the 80s apparently. And yeah, it comes with a 4-year warranty, which even covers accidental damage and burn-in. So yeah. It's like the the Bravia 8 Mark II didn't come with any of that additional protection. It only comes with the 1-year manufacturer warranty, which I don't even know if that covers burn-in, or it almost certainly doesn't cover accidental damage. So yeah, anyway, I just don't know why anyone would buy the Bravia 8 Mark II over the A95L. Yeah. So I guess I'm in that camp of people, of YouTubers that say that. So anyway, if there's if anyone wants to try to convince me, you know, of why I'm wrong about this opinion, I'm happy to listen. But yeah, I'm just saying both of these TVs are in their default settings, and yeah, they look identical. I've tested, again, you know, I tested everything from professional to vivid, and everything in between, and every single preset looks identical, pretty much. Yeah, like I'm really trying to see a difference, and I'm just not seeing it. So there are, I guess there are a few color differences I've seen in some limited areas, and maybe that has to do with Rtings where they said that actually the A95L was calibrated better out of the box, which kind of makes sense with it being marketed as the one of their Master Series OLED. So maybe that has to do with some of the color differences I was seeing, but like in this scene right now, I actually am not seeing any color differences at all. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know, but I'm just trying to like think of any differences I've seen in the picture quality. HDR, again, before was maybe sometimes maybe brighter on the Bravia Mark II, like a huge maybe. And then SDR was maybe brighter on the A95L, so I don't know. But it's really hard to tell the difference between these two TVs. So anyway, I hope that this video can help people. I was really looking for a video like this, especially from, I don't know, someone that's just trying to, I don't know, because I don't really have a huge, you know, what do you call it? Like, I don't have a lot to lose in this. Like my channel isn't really focused around reviewing high-end TVs like this. Mostly I do like retro stuff or like CRTs. I do controller reviews, stuff like that, but I do like to branch out when I do get a new TV or whatever. So anyway, I didn't really have a lot of anything to lose, so these are just kind of my honest opinions. Obviously I'm not being paid by Sony or anyone to, you know, say what I'm saying. And if I were being paid by Sony, they probably would pay me to say the opposite of what I'm saying. So anyway, I just hope that this is helpful to people that are considering these two TVs, because I was definitely I was very unsure, and I was, you know, Sony saying that the Bravia Mark II would be 25% brighter than the A95L. Like, that sounded pretty awesome to me. And so yeah, I wasn't even going to mess with an A95L, because I was just going to trust Sony, I guess. But I'm glad that I didn't just trust Sony, and that the Rtings review came out, and yeah, and there was at least, well, yeah, just you know, people in the community that I heard, you know, they talk about different stuff, and so yeah, kind of gave me a different perspective, and I decided to get an A95L just to see for myself, which is really better. And yeah, they're identical in picture quality, but the A95L again has some huge advantages as it comes to some of the extra stuff. So yeah, remote, Sony Bravia Cam, and the sound quality are all much better on the A95L. So yeah, anyway, I hope that this is helpful to people. This is the kind of video I wish I would have seen before I bought the Bravia Mark II, but hey, since I didn't see this video before, I decided to make it myself, and here you go. So I hope this helps other people, so you don't have to go through the hassle that I'll have to go through now to return the Bravia Mark II and repackage it and all that stuff. So anyway, thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll talk to you later. This is Fairy Kid 64, and we're out. Bye.